nom, 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 nom.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by my best friend in the whole entire world. He is Aaron, the Mukesiah Mukes. And below us, we have ya boy, AJ Johnson. It is a beautiful October 25th morning here in the city. We've got a Fantasy Drive episode coming your way, recapping all the action from Week 7 in the fantasy world, as well as recapping the Monday Night Football game last night between the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots. Gentlemen, let's start right there and go inside the matchup for Monday Night Football. Yes, we had a little bit more of an exciting game on primetime last night. It was the Bears taking down the New England Patriots 33-14. Everything that we thought would happen pretty much happened in the sense of Bailey Zappi came in and filled the shoes of Mac Jones, came in and replaced Mac Jones in the second quarter and didn't look back, although Bill Belichick lied to everybody and said we would see Mac Jones again and they would split time in the second half. That was not true. Aaron, what was your assessment of Bailey Zappi in this tough loss for the Patriots?
Yeah, it started great, didn't it? We all got excited. We were live on our little Sac City cast, and we were excited. He came through a touchdown pass, got them down in the red zone again, scored another touchdown from Ramondre Stevenson. But unfortunately, in the end, it was just the too many turnovers. Tip balls at the line of scrimmage. You had brought up the Baker Mayfield comparison, him being a little bit of a smaller quarterback. A lot of balls getting batted down at the line of scrimmage. Finished off 14-22, 185, a tutty, and then the two picks, both really on batted balls. It was what it was. I told people about this Bears pass defense, but Bailey Zappi didn't look his best after those first two drives. There were things that he could have done better. You saw the arm talent, but just some of the decision making, not being able to get outside of the pocket and make throws, obviously was an issue. I think the bigger issue here is where does New England go from here at the quarterback position? Is it Mac Jones? Is it Bailey Zappi? Do they really have a number one? Are we concerned about them going forward? And I think those are questions that Belichick's going to have to answer.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough week during the press conferences for the New England Patriots, not just for Belichick, but also Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi throughout the week. It's going to be tough. The Bears, though, get their win. They move to 3-4, same record as the Packers. We talked about it during our live stream. They're at 3-4. Not so bad of a record right now, but and it was a better performance all around from this offense. Justin Fields still not throwing a whole lot. I mean, he had 21 pass attempts. That's a whole lot more than the 12 he's had in prior games. But 13 of 21, 179 yards through the air, a tutty and an interception. On the ground, he was productive as well. 14 carries, 82 yards and a touchdown. AJ, what'd you see from this Bears offense that kind of maybe stood out to you?
Honestly, it was the first time Justin Fields looked comfortable behind that line. I always talk about his prowess and being able to escape the pocket. Tonight, it's kind of looked like his decisions were quick. If he had to throw, he was making it. If he knew he had to get out of the pocket, he was getting out. There was a lot of situations where it looked like he was going to get that pocket collapsed, and just impressive the way he's able to get out of some of those sacks and turn them into positive gains, and a lot of times they first down. So they kind of were prepared to counteract what Bill Belichick was going to do. We talk about it all the time. Belichick comes in. What's your strong point? We're going to stop that. That would have been the run. And they found a way to get Justin Fields involved. David Montgomery went for 62 yards. Khalil Herbert went for 62 yards. They were running the ball just about all over the field, and it was the way they were able to win and kicking field goals at that point. They didn't have to punch in everything into the end zone. They were able to move the ball, get into field goal range, put up 3 points, and the defense for the Patriots just weren't there tonight. Just wasn't there.
Are we going to overlook the fact that AJ looks like he's sitting in the bedroom from the movie Paranormal Activity? Like, what is going on there? What is going on there?
That's why I asked. That's why I asked earlier. I was like, where are you at? Because it looks like you are in a
normally I sit up in the front room of my parents' house when I'm here, but there were people here earlier, and then there's a loud TV next. I couldn't stay out there, so had to go to the room where I'm staying. And I was like, if Aaron can pull up in a parking garage, or
Hey, I feel that.
spend mornings in the bed, I was like, I got no excuse. So we Gucci.
You're right. Well,
damn, that was gonna be a great
He was
question.
about to ask a question.
I was excited. He's gonna come back and re-ask it.
What I was most interested in this game, I wasn't asking a question, but it is interesting that the Bears ran for 243 yards in this game. And this is what I'm crying. I was basically pleading with the Cleveland Browns to do this last week against New England, which is go in there and run the football, because they can be had. This is a defense that wants you to do what they want you to do. And we talk about Belichick taking away your best thing. Belichick knew what the Bears wanted to do. He knew that they wanted to run the football. It just didn't matter. And then you talk about Justin Fields, only throwing the ball 21 times. Well, actually, much of those were scramble plays. So I would probably say at least 8 or 9 of his carries came on him dropping back to pass. I think he dropped back to pass like almost 30 times, but he ended up scrambling and running on those particular downs. So I think they actually did allow him to open up the offense a little bit more today, which was a good thing, because you saw him make some throws at some timing precision passes that we have been asking to see. And I think we finally got to see that today. Are there still issues? Yes. Can they still have some help up front that they need? Yes, absolutely. Offensive line still atrocious, but I saw some things that were positive signs in the favor of Chicago. And then obviously being able to create 4 turnovers defensively, it's always going to be a recipe for success.
Yeah, we talk about the Patriots defense. They kind of always find Bill Belichick knows how to find your weakness on offense and exploit that and take advantage of that. And in this game, and one of the reasons why I leaned towards AJ, your streamer of the week for defense in the Patriots, is that Bill Belichick always his defense have been known to handle young quarterbacks very well. Obviously, Justin Fields not a rookie anymore, but he's been able to take care of and neutralize rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. And Justin Fields had a good day on the ground and through the air. He had a more productive day than what we've seen early on in the season. And like you said, Aaron, the rushing attack was huge. 62 yards for David Montgomery, 62 yards for Khalil Herbert, 82 yards for Justin Fields, and 2 touchdowns spread out from Justin Fields and David Montgomery here. This is a good win for Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears as they move on to 3-4, and the Patriots also move on to 3-4. That does it for our Monday Night Football recap. Let's get into a little morning headlines.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for some morning headlines, and we got to lead things off with a little trade skis that happened last night between the New York Jets and the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars send James Robinson to the Jets in exchange for a 6th-round pick that could become a 5th-round pick if James Robinson is to hit 600 total yards on the season. He's 260 yards away. Aaron, what does this move mean for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, obviously they're moving forward with Travis Etienne. We've kind of seen this kind of happening over the past couple of weeks. We talked about the involvement of Travis Etienne, getting more and more touches, being on the field more than he had been before. It's obviously what they wanted to do. He's a more explosive, dynamic player. I worry about the depth. I mentioned this a little bit earlier on. I worry about the depth at the position, knowing that Travis Etienne has a ton of miles on him in college. And then now he's coming off of a foot injury last year. You worry about that injury maybe creeping up if he's getting the heavy work volume. But in the end, Doug Peterson wants to throw the football, and that's what he does. It's what his identity is. Trevor Lawrence is a, quote, franchise quarterback. So that's where they want to lean heavily anyway, is throwing the football, use that short passing game to do it. And I think Travis Etienne is kind of their focal point of that. So I think this is just a philosophy difference between what James Robinson brings to a team, which is that kind of pound it up in there, get you 4 yards a carry, and kind of just grind it out, versus what the Jacksonville Jaguars want to be in. That's a more versatile, explosive offense.
Yeah, I mean, I get it for James Robinson. I guess if you want to go on the personal side of things, it's great time for the Jets. I said earlier, the Jets, their front office is doing what it takes They're in a good spot in the season right now, winning record that a lot of people didn't see coming, and they want to stay that way, and running the ball has been a good part of that. You look at what James Robinson did at the first part of this season, the first 3 games, he was nice. He was back to his old James Robinson self, the undrafted rookie who put up 1,000 yards that we all love to see, and they're hoping that can stay, especially playing off of a Michael Carter. I wonder if, they made this trade from Jacksonville on the side of things just to get ahead of any media narrative or any James Robinson maybe not being happy with his new role in the Jacksonville offense after being told he'd be the number 1 guy, and it looks like he just keeps falling on the depth chart. I'm sure more may come out from that later, but that's just something that I've kind of felt like is a part of the equation here. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's a speculation for sure. But that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. But I think the Jets are doing a great job with their front office, and hopefully this will work out for them in the long run. And as we mentioned, there's not a lot of commitment to James Robinson if it doesn't work out.
Let's talk about it from a fantasy perspective. Obviously, this is the fantasy drive, and we're going to talk more fantasy in a little bit. But let's talk the fantasy outlook for James Robinson, Travis Etienne, and Michael Carter. Who's impacted the most out of this entire trade, Aaron?
I want to say it's Travis Etienne as far as the most, because I think there's no worries now. I don't think there's any worries of anybody taking any carries away from him. You'll get spelled by JaMychal Hasty. But for the most part, excuse me, I'm learning out of breath today. For the most part, you're going to see Travis Etienne get the bulk of the work. So passing game, running game, all of those things. I think he's the biggest impact player that comes out of this. The one you look at and you say, okay, he's going to have the biggest upside or value change as a result of it. I don't think there's much value change here for Michael Carter. I still think he splits time. Maybe he gets a little bit of uptick in touches because he knows the offense already. And then James Robinson, I kind of think he is what he is. I think he's still going to be what he was kind of those first couple weeks of the season, minus the touchdown. Obviously, if you include the touchdown regression, which is 8 to 10 carries, 10 to 12 carries, 40 to 60 yards, 70 yards, somewhere around in there, but not a whole lot of work in the passing game. Again, I guess that would be the only thing I would maybe wonder about, that I'm unsure about. Does James Robinson get the same amount of targets ran that Breece Hall was getting? Because that was something that Breece Hall got value, and we've known James Robinson to be able to do it. Maybe not at that explosive level, but he has been able to go out and catch passes. So does he get that, or do they just lean solely on Michael Carter in the passing game?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's gonna. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be like it was in the beginning of the season, with kind of starting back over with how they eased Breece Hall in. So Michael Carter will probably go back to about 60% of the snaps to start here, and then it may be wait for James Robinson to see if he can get the hot hand. And once he shows that he knows the playbook, can be a workhorse, and can be efficient, because we did see that drop a little bit, and it might have been because of how much Travis Etienne was getting run. But once he shows that, you might see Michael Carter start to slip down a little bit, get back in the passing game and the goal line work. But James Robinson's also a pretty decent goal line back as well. But I would imagine Michael Carter will get his carries back up to start, and we'll see where James Robinson eases in.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern and the most interesting factor in all this, I think it's clear when you talk about Travis Etienne's workload. It's clear as day. It's his backfield now. JaMychal Hasty is not threatening him at all whatsoever in touches. But it's now, how do the Jets handle the workload between James Robinson and Michael Carter? We will stay on top of that in the fantasy world as well as the real life world throughout the rest of the season. One other bit of news that came from the NFL yesterday is the Indianapolis Colts have announced that they will be going with Sam Ehlinger as their starting quarterback over Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan it has been reported that he is going through a grade 2 shoulder sprain, which will definitely sideline him this week. But Frank Wright has come out and said that Sam Ehlinger is going to be the plan is to have Ehlinger as the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season. Aaron, are you buying the comments from the Colts head coach?
I'm buying the comments that he is saying this is what we're doing. I don't know why he would get up there and say we're starting somebody and then not start him. I'm not buying this whole situation, though. No, absolutely not. I think this is a conversation that has to be had. I don't think that Matt Ryan is getting benched. And I know that's the report, and I know that's what everybody's talking and saying, and that, oh, we were going to make this move anyway. That's nice. You can say that after the fact, but there's a sneaky suspicion of mine that says that he's injured, maybe beyond being able to throw the football this year. And at some point in time, you're going to see Matt Ryan is now out and having shoulder surgery or something like that. It's not just that they benched him. It's that they said Nick Foles. They said that Nick Foles is also then going to be the backup. That's also strange because it's Nick Foles. So which means you go from top of the depth chart to bottom of the depth chart after winning 3 of 4 games before losing to the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. And yeah, he hasn't played well. We've all said that, but it's just it's too sneaky. It's suspicious. That's all I'm going to say. A week ago, they were talking about how great he is as a leader and of the team, and they're so excited to have him there. And then you lose, and now it's not. And then also you got to account for the contract situation. I'm sorry. Yeah. Not many teams in this league I've watched sit a $50 million quarterback and just bench him, especially one with the resume of a Matt Ryan. So there's something else there. And I don't know for certain, but my suspicion is that there's something more to this story than is being told at this point.
Yeah, this will be Frank Reich's seventh quarterback since he got the job in Indianapolis in 2018. His 7th quarterback: Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Brian Hoyer, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, and now Sam Ehlinger.
But you know what's funny about all of those guys that you were just naming, outside of maybe the Sam Ehlinger? Like, can we stop getting these outcasted veterans that have been failures other places or beyond their prime? Like, go get you a franchise guy, draft one.
Yeah.
Maybe
Sam Ehlinger's
maybe it's Sam Ehlinger.
The rookie from Texas slinging it around. I have one question.
Go ahead.
If it's the injury, why not come out and hide behind the injury then? Like, why not just say we're going to start Sam Ehlinger, Matt Ryan's injured right now, and then that way, if this was your plan and Sam Ehlinger shows that he can do it, well, then it's like we're going to keep him for the rest of the season.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. And that's a valid question. It's a very valid question. Something just isn't right. Like,
I think
money is bothering me. The money is bothering me.
I think it's more of, and I know he's frozen. He's going to come back hot and go from there.
So frustrating. So frustrating. I don't know how AJ survived for all this. I'm telling you. Next week, I'm buying my adapter, and this thing will be plugged into my internet router, and hopefully that fixes the problem because I can't do this anymore. But the money is bothering me. $50 million, and it's not like Matt Ryan had been losing and they hadn't won. If they were 0-7, 0-6, we might be having this conversation. But they're in the middle of the pack like every other damn team.
Yeah,
with the hurt Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, but if they weren't tied for last in sacks, if they weren't last in turnovers, if he wasn't fumbling the ball so much, maybe they're not 3-4 and tied with everybody else. Maybe they're firmly in hold of that AFC South and trending. Like, I get it, they're winning, but I mean, at the same time, 2 weeks ago, we wanted to have this conversation about Mariota because he was turning the ball over and he's not there.
This is two different situations.
Yeah, the Mariota thing is much different.
The Mariota is a stopgap for a team that is looking to build for the future. The Colts were in win now mode. And now all of a sudden you go to a rookie, a younger guy who has done nothing, shown nothing. And yet, so unless there's something in practice that they're like, man, and I heard reports that teams have been interested in Sam Ehlinger and that he's shown a lot in camp and in practice. But if that's the case, then why did we have to wait for this to happen after the Tennessee game? Like, it should have been when they were 0-3 or tied Houston. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird timing for this entire situation.
I just think it's more of to me, I get your suspicion. I think this is more on the side of Frank Reich trying to save his job. And I know that Sam Ehlinger has not done anything to I'm pronouncing it wrong, by the way. I keep saying Ehlinger and it's Ehlinger. Is it Ehlinger?
I think it's
Ehlinger.
It's Ehlinger.
Yeah. So But I think it's a Frank Reich thing of trying to save his job, making it seem like, okay, I see that we're not living up to expectations and we have to do a change. And I'm going to try and make that change and show you that, hey, because if this works out, he looks like a genius and stays another year. But if he would have continued with Matt Ryan and they would have gone down this mediocre average the rest of the season, then I think he's gone no matter. But that's the thing. I think this is a last-ditch effort to try and try and do something to try and save his job. That's where I think
I actually agree with that based on what he said, especially with the comments he said. You know, me and Matt Ryan spoke and it said, you know, ultimately it comes down to coach's job is wins and losses. But the timing of it is the problem I have, because either way, at the end of the year, he's gone. Because if they don't win with Matt Ryan, I'm sorry, they're damn sure not going to win with Sam Ehlinger. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I think the same conversation would have applied with either quarterback. If you wanted to win, you should have put in the Super Bowl winning quarterback in Nick Foles.
Hey, that man's something special. Kidding. AJ, real quick, very quick. Fantasy impact on Ehlinger being the quarterback now. You got guys like Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor holding very high fantasy value. What does this do for them rest of season?
I think Jonathan Taylor, you know, I want to say you see an uptick with him, but really the problem hasn't been just Jonathan Taylor. I mean, this offensive line hasn't been great. They're ranked 30th in rushing. I mean, you can look at the way he was catching passes on Sunday, you know, 8 targets, 7 receptions. You'd like to imagine that a young quarterback like Sam Ehlinger will use his checkdowns, but more often than not, they throw the ball sporadically. You got 2 talented guys in Michael Pittman and Sam Ehlinger. It's on Frank Reich to make sure they find ways to get those guys the ball and run that offense through them. And sad to say, I was excited for my boy Alec Pierce, and now I don't know if you're going to be able to sustain this much of a run. So hopefully I'm wrong about that. Who knows? Maybe the secret sauce is potent, and this man comes out and Texas slings it all over the field. So.
As a Michael Pittman owner, I am concerned, interested to see what happens from his standpoint. But maybe this is a situation that we talk about all the time where, okay, new quarterback in, let's change the system up and try and simplify things. And they end up doing well because of it. So, and they go back to their roots of giving Jonathan Taylor the rock a bunch of times, and they win games that way.
I don't know. This guy was never that impressive to me. Like, even in college, like, I get it. He had some potential.
You're baffled by this move. You're baffled by this entire thing.
I am. Had they come out and said, hey, Nick Foles is going to start, I probably would have been like, maybe they're trying to, but with going to the rookie now or it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird.
We'll let you stew on it for the next few days, and then we can reassess this on Friday when we preview the Colts Texans game. That's who I don't know if they play. I think they play the Commanders. I might be wrong.
They play the Commanders.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which one it was. The Titans play the Texans. I'm trying to get my AFC South teams correct, but we'll talk more about that and what it means for the Colts moving forward when we preview their game in Week 8. Let's get into an injury report before we dive into some fantasy talk.
Hey, it's time for that wonderful injury report. We're going to keep this short and sweet because we touched on a lot of them yesterday. Not too much information, but a little bit of more information we have out there. Dallas Cowboys cornerback Jordan Lewis is out for the year with that foot injury. I seen it happen. It was right at the end of the game, obviously. He gets the interception, and then he's, hurt. So they'll miss him. He's a really good slot nickelback that's kind of underrated in the NFL. So it's a big loss for Dallas. They'll have to kind of figure out if they're going to be Kelvin Joseph or how they want to kind of fill that void. We talked about J.C. Jackson earlier, who signed that contract, 5 years, $82.5 million. This offseason, he is out for the year. His kneecap just fell off the bone. I mean, there's no more kneecap. Like, it's gone. Like, it fell off. You ever seen the movie Mr. Deeds when he moves his knee all the way over here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's J.C. Jackson's knee. That's it's not funny, but that's unfortunate.
He goes, after making the Mr. Deeds joke, he goes, "It's not funny though."
No, I mean Mr. Deeds is funny, but not JC. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, we talked about Breece Hall and the impact of losing him. Obviously, ACL injury. The thing you look at now is how long of a recovery is that? Is it a 9-month one? Is it a 12-month one? Is he back week 1? Is he back, middle of the season next year? That could be something to watch as well. Some of the big injuries we talked about. Mike Williams suffering that high ankle sprain. He will miss some time. DK Metcalf carted off. Did something to his knee. It looks like it's some patellar injury, but the fact of the matter is he will not need surgery. They think it's good news for him. So going forward,
always in the injury report. Always in the injury report.
Well, always in everything.
He's now here, and that's David Njoku, who unfortunately got hurt in that game after he was having a really good game. Got hurt his ankle, and he will miss some time for the Browns. So we'll have definitely more information on some of these injuries as we move throughout the week, because we'll find out if people are going to play next week or not. So stay tuned for Wednesday and the practice reports and all that. Blah, blah.
Did I miss did you bring up Elijah Vera-Tucker? Did I miss that?
I did that yesterday.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because that's a big thing for the fantasy impact for James Robinson as well moving forward. But all right, that does it for the injury report. Let's get into our our Week 7 fantasy recap and discuss a little winners and losers from Week 7. AJ, I'll start with you. We'll start with the winners here. Oh, fuck me. The biggest winners from Week 7.
What did you do?
Fantasy football.
You
the graphic.
Fix it?
I made all the. No, it's fine. I don't give a shit. AJ, biggest winners from Week 7.
Well, first off, I've been doing this a little bit. If you are an Austin Eckler owner, what Austin Eckler has been able to do this offense, even in a loss, it seems like this is him all day, every day. Especially now, you would think with Keenan Allen coming back next to Mike Williams, maybe he was going to lose something, but now sadly Mike Williams goes down. He's probably going to miss some time. So Austin Eckler's volume is going to kind of stay in the same spot. I look for him to keep taking targets in. 12 for 12 last week. Just amazing on what he's able to do. Hopefully we can get some more 9 for 9 and 10 for 10s coming up here. Austin Eckler owners, huge winners. Love it. Love to see it. Glad I have him. Wish I had him in another league, but I traded him for the first pick for Jonathan Taylor. And how's that working out for me? Oh, go on.
Aaron, what about you? Biggest winner from this week?
My biggest winner is Joe Burrow. It's Joe Burrow, Smoking Joe. Listen, Joe Burrow is – I've been hard on him, but from a fantasy perspective, number 3 quarterback, since that week 1 where he threw 4 picks, the man has 17 touchdowns, I think, 13 touchdowns to 1 pick. He's a top 5 quarterback. He's the top 5 quarterback in fantasy. He's using his legs. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns over the past 3 weeks. He's not turning the football over. The offensive line is playing well. Joe Burrow, he's playing well. He's playing like a top 5 quarterback. He is my biggest fantasy winner for a guy that was probably drafted in the middle to late rounds there for quarterbacks. And you got yourself a gem so far.
The sweet spot of quarterbacks that he was drafted, right in that little sweet spot. AJ, what about losers? Your biggest loser from Week 7 fantasy football?
Romeo can't say Dubs, because it's starting to become a trend. It's not just, we saw that 8 for 8 in Week 3 against Tampa Bay, and everyone was like, all right, he's arrived. Aaron Rodgers has found his guy, and week after week, you start seeing drops. You start seeing he's not ready. You start seeing missed routes, things of that nature. Aaron's very excited because he was quote unquote correct. However,
the brakes on these breakout players.
Hey man, but here's the thing, they gave him the opportunity, and to me that's why he's a big loser this week, because not only was he given the opportunity, he was given the opportunity repeatedly, and he hasn't been able to come up to it. So he's now just going to be way too hard to trust. You're looking at him against Buffalo next week. hopefully you have a bye him again in week 9 when he goes against Detroit, and that's the only reason you'll even think about starting him. And even then, you're worried. So Romeo, opposite of Dubs for me.
Romeo Flubs.
Yeah, there you go. Great one.
There you go. I got you. I got you. Aaron, what about you? What's your who's your biggest loser from the fantasy week?
You know, I wanted to say you until Justin Fields took the knee. So I couldn't, because I thought you were going to lose that one. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we were clowning, bro. We were clowning.
We were kind of. I mean, we were kind of making fun of you. We thought you were going to lose, and it ended up not working out that way.
Yeah, remember you were trying to make fun of me about the. Yeah, I remember you were trying to make fun of me about the superstition and all of this, and you're like, "Oh, you won, but you didn't. I didn't want to say I won yet because anything could happen. It almost the anything almost happened. So, but it didn't. So I guess you're right again. You could take that victory lap.
Yeah, I love victory laps. It was Leonard Fournette. Just awful game against Carolina. I believe he finished with 5 points or something like that.
Yep.
8 carries, 19 yards. Only caught. He's been getting most of his value in the passing game. He only had 2 catches, I believe, on 3 targets, just 7 yards. I'm almost to the point, and I'm almost to the point. If you don't have Rachaad White already, he should already be on rosters. I haven't even checked his percentage, but he should be on rosters. I believe he's probably more than 50% owned. If not, maybe he should have been in my waiver wire column. Go get him now.
Well, you already broke your waiver wire column is broken. You broke 2% rules on your waiver wire this week.
I know what I did.
Rules.
When I to my own rules, I can break my own rules.
Leagues.
But anyways,
4% of sleeper leagues.
So you might want to think about going and getting Rachaad White, because there's going to come a point in time, and there maybe Tampa Bay says, you know what, let's move the younger guy in and get more snaps. He played 43% of the snaps yesterday. He's been sitting around 30% for most of the year. Played 43, got 6 carries, 2 targets. They have to get rid of the ball quickly. There's no offensive line. Just somebody to pay attention to and watch and monitor as we move throughout the year. Very much could be a situation where you find him getting more and more playing time. But it's Leonard Fournette.
All right, Leonard Fournette, a big loser here. Let's stay in the Sunshine State. I'm going to give you some buy or sell candidates in terms of fantasy production and where we're at as a whole with whether we think that their production is going to continue at where it's at or change and go up or down. Chase Edmonds, 1 carry, 7 yards, no receptions, 2 targets in Miami's win over Pittsburgh. Chase Edmonds, are we done with Chase Edmonds?
If it wasn't for Raheem Mostert's history, I would say drop him. But I think that if Raheem Mostert got hurt, that would be one of the better handcuffs to have. So roster him, never start him. Never start him.
I can agree with that statement.
All right. A.J. Dillon, 1 carry, 4 yards, no targets at all.
You know, a lot of the conversation around the Green Bay Packers this week was if it couldn't happen last week, it's just not going to happen. And it's getting increasingly easier to believe that. I want to say it's really hard to drop him. I don't know that I could, but I definitely can't start him. He's right there on the droppable edge. He's on that ledge. If it just a couple rocks fall off, he's going with it.
He's frozen.
Or angry.
Just depressed.
If you can sell A.J. Dillon, I'd probably hold. I'd hold A.J. Dillon until he scores 2 touchdowns and has 50 yards and try to sell him. Other than that, you're just stuck with him. Can't start him.
The last 3 weeks, he's played 32 and 30% of the snaps.
That's not the issue for A.J. Dillon, though, because that's he can play 30% of the snaps and still be an effective flex. His value comes with the Packers being in the red zone and scoring touchdowns and getting 1 or 2 catches and then 40 to 50 yards rushing. He's never going to be Aaron Jones-esque when it comes to those big games, but they're not getting enough opportunities in the red zone. They're not running the ball effectively enough, which in turn means Aaron Jones has to be on the field because they're always playing from behind and they have to throw the ball to somebody. So that would be my concern. I have huge concerns about A.J. Dillon, but there's not much you can do. You can't drop him. You drop him, somebody else is going to scoop him up. And if the Packers offense gets right, you're going to be kicking yourself the nuts. So you hold,
yeah,
you hold, and you hope for a good day, and then you try to sell them for medium tier value.
When you're screwed with buys, is he one of the bye week casualties?
I'm not a fan. I think I could find somebody else to drop, because you got to remember, again, one of the better handcuffs in the NFL. Aaron Jones go down, he has tremendous value no matter what. So I'm probably holding and trying to get rid of somewhere else.
All right. Well, that does it for our buy or sell. That does it for our week 7 takeaways. Let's move on and shift gears to our week 8 outlook. Here we've got waiver wire ads and we've got our rankings. We're doing something new here, ladies and gentlemen. We're kind of changing things up. We're going to have our rankings on Tuesdays, and our Sunday shows will now feature a little start sit actions, and we're going to give you guys our starts of the week, our sits of the week on those Sundays.
Oh,
and Vinny is gone, so I will address the question that's in the chat. Since Vinny's having a struggle mode over there. You okay, Vinny?
Yeah, fantastic.
He looks very irritated, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. When things don't go right, it just steam, just the steam.
Okay. Well, AJ,
you guys already answered this question, or
we did not. I literally didn't know how long it was going to take you to get back.
He thought, yeah. He hit that slide. He pops right back, and
Vinny, do you want to answer the question?
Nope. No, I do not. Go ahead.
Vinny, go ahead, AJ. Started off season 4-0. Now he's 4-3. So he's struggling the last 3 weeks. Hurts come back from his bye. Should I be worried or keep the hot hand?
I don't think you're worried about Jalen Hurts. If you're 4-3, I find that hard to believe he's the reason. At least one of those weeks he did enough to definitely get you winning, and his value is coming from his legs. He's going to run the ball. He's going to take some touchdowns deep down in the red zone. That's a hot hand that you're keeping, unless you're trading him for another top 5 quarterback or something of that nature. You stay with that, and you find somewhere else to pivot.
Yeah, totally agree. Top 5 quarterback on the year, rushing ability. He's only had 2 games under 20 points. You got Jalen Hurts. That's your franchise guy. That's the guy you're riding with every week, no matter what. He's matchup proof until otherwise noted.
Welcome back, Vinny.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's get into your rankings here. Your running backs 1 through 12, your top 12 running backs: Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook round out your top 6. You have Jonathan Taylor dropping to 10. This is well aware of the new quarterback news. You have him dropping to 10. How much is this about the quarterback, and how much is this about the fact that his usage just has been down?
Yeah, it's more about the injury than it is about the quarterback, to be honest. I think the usage is down because I think he's still injured. I think that ankle injury is still something that's lingering, and we know how long it takes to come back from an ankle injury. The first week, he was a Thursday night game that he said he might try to play in. He didn't. Then you go a week later, he plays, he gets 10 carries, but he didn't look right. And then, this week, I think it's going to be the same thing. I think you're easing him back in. Sheer volume, maybe he gets up to 15 touches today or this week, but I think he's still going to be touchdown dependent now for an offense that might not score a lot of touchdowns. It's going to be tough sledding for Jonathan Taylor. Again, I'm giving him respect for being the running back that he was in 2021 by putting him in the top 10, but it would not shock me if he falls outside that top 10 this week.
You got Ken Walker at 11. You got Ramondre Stevenson against the Jets at 12. I guess my other question regarding the top 12 before we move on would be Aaron Jones against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. He comes in at number 9. AJ, let me get your reaction to that. What do you think about Aaron Jones at number 9?
This is one of the things where I think this is for the Packers, the best way for them to attack Buffalo is the passing game with the running back. And what Aaron Jones was able to do last week, he actually made himself as normal, very reliable. So him at 9, I think he's going to get a lot of the work. You don't trust your receivers in a Romeo Doubs. Christian Watson seems like he doesn't want to play in the NFL this season. Maybe Sammy Watkins is back off IR, but is he going to be fully ready to go? If I'm not mistaken, Alan Lazard went down as well. So you may not have the weapons that you need to do anything else other than go to Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones has shown, despite people knowing if he's going to get the ball, that he's still a reliable target to put up some points, put up some yards, and move the ball efficiently. So I'm okay with him being in 9. I think he falls into that area from 9 to 12. I think he's definitely still a low-end RB1 this upcoming week.
Yeah, I love Aaron Jones this week. You mentioned the Alan Lazard injury. Who knows if he plays this week? Sammy Watkins. They don't have a receiving threat. It has to be Aaron Jones. 10 targets last week. This is what I expected to see from him really all season. I thought he could be the number 1 receiver there because of this reason. He caught 9 balls and only went for 53 yards, but he did get 2 of them in the end zone. I think he's going to see another 10 carries, another 8 to 10 targets, and he'll put up RB1 value. I think he's a sure lock to be an RB1. To be honest, I wanted to push him up a little bit higher, but I gave the respect to Buffalo's defense to say, you know what, they might focus on that, and it might be a little bit tougher sledding. They might not score. He might not get in the end zone, which might make it tough for him to crack that top 7. But I think he's a lock to be on RB1.
This next group of running backs, your RB2s, you might laugh, you might get mad. I'm leaning more towards the mad side because originally you had Austin Eckler in your rankings, forgetting that he was on a bye. So you said just bump everyone up and let me decide on who slots in at the RB24 spot. You also forgot Alvin Kamara exists and is playing the Las Vegas Raiders. So just because you forgot about him, I still wanted to throw his name in here. Obviously, you don't think he's going to be the RB24. Where do you think Alvin Kamara falls this week? And obviously, the rankings will work out himself. This is a very fluid rankings list. It'll change a few times throughout the week. But where should Alvin Kamara be this week?
Obviously an oversight. Alvin Kamara is a top 10 running back. This is what happens when I try to do rankings in a matter of 10, 15 minutes. It's tough. Alvin Kamara is definitely in the top. I'd probably put him at 6 or 7 this week against the Raiders. I think Alvin Kamara is a lock to be a top 10 running back for the rest of the year. I think I've said that a number of times. I told people to go and acquire him when he was down at the beginning of the season and injured because I thought that was a good way to acquire a top guy. I went and traded Saquon Barkley, who's having a phenomenal year, but I also got some additional pieces with that to get Alvin Kamara. So that I think he's a lock. Just put him in your lineup. There's not real much conversation there. He's going to get the volume, and I think there still are better days for the Saints offense ahead, and he really hasn't even broken through yet. But just the sheer volume alone makes him a very high floor guy. It's somebody that you can really count on each and every week.
Yeah, the Raiders' rush defense has not been that great. Dameon Pierce last week had a good day against them. Running backs have been very fortunate against the Raiders' run defense. You had Austin Eckler originally at 4, and I was going to put him there. I was just going to swap Eckler and Kamara, but they're not my rankings, so I don't have the right to do that. But the rest of your RB2s, David Montgomery, Ezekiel Elliott, Dameon Pierce, Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Raheem Mostert are 13 through 18 here. I guess the biggest names would have to be Chuba Hubbard, just to dive into him a little bit. I know we're talking about him later on in the show, but what do you expect from Chuba Hubbard this week against Atlanta?
I expect him to, if the ankle's okay, barring, something them coming out and saying that it's not okay, I expect him to get most of the work. I think he's a little bit better than Deonta Foreman in the passing game, just more versatile. I like what he can offer, and I think the opportunities will be there because they're going to have to run the football. They're not a very good offense. I think by allowing him to run the football, they have a chance to he might have a chance to crack that kind of flex RB2. We know RBs are down. The Falcons aren't bad against running backs, though. I will say that they're a pretty good team against running backs, only averaging about 18 to 19 points to the running back position, which is good for top 10. But they're also a bad football team. And if Carolina can keep that game close. They'll have opportunities to run the football instead of having to pass. We know this game will happen quick because Atlanta also wants to run the football. So I could see both quarterbacks combining for 20 pass attempts in this one. So a lot of running back opportunities in this one for both teams.
AJ, what do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think about?
What do you think about Atlanta was a bad team?
Oh my God!
Oh Jesus!
Here we go with these emotions again.
No. Honestly, with Chuba Hubbard's definitely the guy in that backfield. But as we saw, they're going to give Deonta Foreman the touches, and he has the potential to break one. It honestly happened just about exactly as I said last week, except they gave the touchdown to Hubbard right after, so there was no need to. One has a hot hand because they all ran the ball pretty well. And yeah, I know they're going to start PJ Walker regardless of who's healthy, they said, but I don't know if that means they're going to let him loose and just let him throw the ball everywhere. So I do expect a run heavy game from both sides, and maybe Marcus Mariota will do what he did 2 weeks ago and, complete every pass for about 7.5 yards and then run a couple touchdowns in. We'll show you we're not a bad team.
High hopes. High hopes. Let's go over to the wide receiver position.
I was gonna say it could be either one. Like if Chuba's hurt or they do lean on Deonta Foreman, that easily could be him that slides in that spot. And I think we'll get to that a little bit later when we get to my waiver wires.
Yeah. Let's go over to your wide receivers. Your wide receiver ones here: Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, and welcome back DeAndre Hopkins. Surprise. Last week we were but we were waiting to see if he'd kind of resume his role in this Arizona Cardinals offense. He had every bit of it and more. He now comes back in, slots as a top 6 wide receiver. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill have huge matchups this week. But AJ, there's a wide receiver on this list. Is there a wide receiver on this list? Nope. He's your next. Nope. Damn it. Yep. It's in the next group. Jamar Chase at 10 is my question for you, Aaron, because after a big week from Joe Burrow, it's not a question as in too low or too high. It's too low to me. After a big week with Joe Burrow on Sunday against who did they play? They played the Falcons. Oh, they played the Falcons. After that big week, team. Yeah. After that big week, you have him at 10. Any thoughts on moving him up at all? What went into putting him in at 10?
He's a surefire, always going to be a wide receiver 1, but he don't put up those numbers every week. I mean, he's had 2 weeks in a row that have been good. Just before that, he went 7 for 50, 4 for 81, 6 for 29. The thing with Cincinnati is it could be T. Higgins, it could be Tyler Boyd, it could be Jamar Chase. Obviously, Jamar Chase has the highest upside, so he's always going to be ranked the highest because that floor is pretty good. But I can't bank on him going for 2 touchdowns and 2 of those. To be fair, like he had 8 catches, 130. 2 of those were like long passes, like he took them in from a distance. So, which he does have the capability of doing, but there's always regression. There's always like regressing to the means and understanding that those things are going to happen. It's not a knock on Jamar Chase because I have him at 10. It's just there are other guys that I like the matchups better, that I feel have better opportunities because they're either the only guy that's going to see targets or again the matchup's just better.
Okay. Who's your favorite wide receiver from the wide receiver 1 group?
Oh, it's a tie between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Start them both. I'm not joking here. This might be like it was week, 3-2, where
against Baltimore, right?
Yeah, where they end up 1-2. It might be.
Might be 1-2 again. Yeah.
Be that.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever I said. It might be that. They might be 1-2.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to your wide receiver.
I never know where I cut off at, so I never know how I finish.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. The wide receiver 2s here: Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, and Brandon Cooks are your 13 through 18. But AJ, it's wide receiver 22 on this list that has you thinking.
Yeah. It's Aaron's guy. Man. Chris Olave. He's not anything. He's not gonna be good. He's an Ohio State wide receiver. No, I'm kidding. But 22. I mean, this. I'll give you the fact that yes, he's been a wide receiver too for a lot of weeks, but he is probably the most consistent wide receiver too in that group, in my opinion, from this season. There's been week one that he wasn't a double-digit wide receiver, and you look at this wide receiver group, we don't know if Michael Thomas is ever going to play football again. Probably not for the Saints. Jarvis Landry's still banged up. Traquan Smith made some headway last week. Marquez Callaway may be traded by then. So you have Chris Olave, you have Alvin Kamara, and Jawan Johnson possibly to take away touchdowns. But other than that, Chris Olave has been nothing short of very, 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 very good. Very, 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 very reliable. 14 targets last week, 106 yards. I like him against against Las Vegas, who's I think middle of the pack, if I'm not mistaken, for their secondary, to have himself another great day. So I'm liking Chris Olave. I think he can fire with confidence, and I think he'll probably come in higher than 22 this week.
Can you put my list up? I don't see one player that Chris Olave is better than on that list above him. You can argue he's been better. Yeah, he's had more opportunities. That's fair. I can argue that
this season.
No, I'm giving you that. Like I'm saying, like I could say that. Yeah, he's had more opportunities. He's the only player there. Is he going to get peppered with targets? Sure, but I also think he has the lowest floor. If you look at those guys, the floor of those other guys, I've seen it in year out. Like it's not something that I think outside of maybe Brandon Ayuk, who might have a floor similar to Chris Olave. I tend to be very consistent with this. I like high floors, and I don't like taking risks on players that I know I have to start. If you want to get into the flex category and you got a chance between a high floor guy and a high upside guy, sure. You want to take the high upside guy, I'm okay with that. But we were talking about your wide receiver too. I think in most people's case, they have to have certainty they're getting points. And when you have a quarterback controversy like the Saints have in Jameis or Dalton, you don't know which offense is going to show up. They're not going to be able to do what they did maybe against Arizona. Maybe the Raiders control the clock with the run game. I just think there's more variables that require Chris Olave that Chris Olave has to rely upon that are beyond his control. But outside of that, he should see a ton of volume, barring any of those receivers coming back. And he should be a good play, which is why he's a wide receiver too for me. I just like some guys that have higher floors, in my opinion, a little bit more.
I think you could possibly slot him over. I think Brandon Ayuk and Christian Kirk are the two wide receivers that like the floor is a little bit more questionable. But I would also have probably those two wide receivers over them. Let's change it over to the quarterback position. Your top 12 quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, and Joe Burrow, your week 7 fantasy winner here. That's your top 6. And then you got Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Geno, and Daniel Jones rounding out your top 12. AJ, it's Kirk Cousins that does it for you this week, huh?
Which is so wild to say. Now, let me check. He's not playing primetime, is he? I might have overlooked that.
No, he's not playing primetime.
I just think he's a good play this week. And actually, you might be able to find him. He had a bye last week, and the week before that, he only threw for 175 yards. So his fantasy day looked better because he had 2 touchdowns. But if people were looking close, they might have felt like he's on a down trot. But I think he's got a good matchup this week against Arizona, 27th ranked pass defense, and he's got studs all over the field that he can throw the ball to. I really like Kirk Cousins this week. I could also be hoping to talk this into existence because in the league that I had Russell Wilson, I found him on the waiver wire, and I was like, oh, give me that. I'm gonna go ahead and run this. So, and then you talk about the other side. You see how high Aaron has Kyler Murray ranked against Minnesota's defense. This may be a game that Kirk Cousins has to throw a little bit more often. And besides last week, he hasn't thrown for less than 220 yards at all this season. So I'm looking to have ourselves a pretty decent tossing match in the Arizona-Minnesota game, and hopefully Kirk Cousins will be a beneficiary of a lot of fantasy teams this week for that.
So you're not necessarily saying that he's going to be higher than 9. You just like him.
I mean, when you look, I'll say this:
like
I like him more than I like Tom Brady this week. I mean,
that's the biggest. That's the biggest question mark to me is Tom Brady this week. Obviously, Baltimore is not. Their defense has not been that great this year, but Tom Brady has not been fantasy great. Tom Brady hasn't been great this year in terms of fantasy production. Aaron, your thoughts on Brady and Cousins this week?
Great thoughts.
Well, outside of 1 week, Kirk Cousins hasn't been in the top 5 in quarterbacks. He's actually been pretty down compared to what Kirk Cousins normally is, as far as consistency and scoring. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's not throwing as many touchdowns. If you look at him this year compared to years in the past, like it's just not as, for whatever reason, the volume just doesn't seem to be there like it was before. I'm not saying I put him in my top 10. So like, I think Kirk Cousins is a good fantasy option. I just don't know you can trust Kirk Cousins enough to be consistent enough to put him any higher than I have him from a rankings perspective. And yes, there are guys like Tom Brady that hasn't lived up to the Tom Brady hype. And this is a matchup thing. He's got a good matchup on Thursday night. One of the worst pass defenses given up to fantasy points, at least. Bottom 7, I believe, pass defense, giving up over 20 fantasy points to the quarterback position in Baltimore. I do think that Tampa Bay has no running game, so they have to throw a lot. This is about volume for me with Tom Brady, then more so than anything. And I just believe one of these days he has to break out of it. It's not due to the lack of weapons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both healthy. Still got Russell Gage healthy. You got Cade Otton, who's starting to play a little bit better at tight end. You still got Leonard Fournette. It's just about the offensive line and being able to punch the ball in the end zone, which is something they haven't done very many times this year. So it's an accurate assessment to say you have some concerns, but he also, last game was the first time he didn't throw a touchdown pass. He's thrown over 40 times every game this year since week 3. So the volume and opportunity is there, and I like that perspective. I think ultimately he breaks out of it. He's had a couple of games, both week 4 and week 5, where he was top 5 in quarterback play or top 5 or 6 in quarterback play. And I think that this is one of those games for him. But Kirk Cousins is who he is. He's going to slot somewhere between 9 and 13 just about every week of every NFL season for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back to the start of October, I mean, Brady started the first 2 weeks of October playing well, 351 yards and a touchdown, and then 385 yards and 3 touchdowns those 2 first weeks of October. So, I mean, maybe Brady can get back to that. But as of right now, Brady at 7, Kirk Cousins at 9. Let's shift over to the tight end position. Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, Pat Freiermuth, Kyle Pitts back again, and Robert Tonyan round out your top 6. No Travis Kelce this week, so Mark Andrews does take that top spot as the number 1 tight end on your rankings. But let's just do it. Let's talk Kyle Pitts here. Another tough week for him last week. AJ, victory lap for AJ there. David Njoku, even with getting hurt, I think had a better fantasy day than Kyle Pitts. He still slots in at your number 5 spot, Aaron. Is this more of you're just not going to put anyone above him because the talent of Kyle Pitts, or what is keeping you with Kyle Pitts as a top 5, top 6 tight end?
So the only person I would think about putting him there above him would be Tyler Higbee. It's the only one I kind of forgot about and how important he is to that offense. And I threw him a couple slots bottom, but no, I'm not putting any of those other guys over Kyle Pitts. It's just not happening. Definition
so it's more about the talent around the rest of the talent at the tight end position versus the talent of Kyle Pitts. Yeah,
the tight ends suck. If you're, like I told you, when you look at that list right now, it's absolutely atrocious because the only sure thing in the world is Travis Kelce. It's the only sure thing in the world. Mark Andrews is a close second, but everybody else there's no sure thing. I don't like any of those
0.40 points from Mark Andrews this week.
Yeah, he had more rushing yards than receiving yards. So like that tells you. No, just like, come on. Are you pleading for Robert Tonyan to be ahead of him? Like, I mean, yeah, maybe he does finish ahead of him, especially this week with all the injuries. But that 3 for 32 that Robert Tonyan had was not that special either. There's just not a lot there, and I'm always going to take the upside and the thought process of somebody's going to get it right. When you're talking about a position that has these guys have no floors. None of these tight ends have high floors. None. Zero. Tyler Higbee is probably the highest. It's the only guy I can justify really putting him above Kyle Pitts from having a floor perspective. So you're just throwing darts. And if I'm going to throw darts, I'm throwing darts to the best talent, and the best talent is Kyle Pitts.
I throw a dart at Evan Ingram over Kyle Pitts right now.
Cool, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Like it's
yeah. So AJ, would you let's do what we did before. Let's do what we did before. Who do you have over Kyle Pitts?
I understand why you have him. Like I get it. I do. It's the talent. I get it. But this is the third game. Would have been fourth at 3.9 fantasy points. Evan Ingram has double digits the last 3 weeks.
So what?
You can't trust Hunter Henry this week. I think Irv Smith might be better this week.
That can change. But so the thing is you're doing what I always say is funny. You're just looking at the last 3 weeks. Just take the whole season.
No, not even just the last 3 weeks. I mean,
the whole season. Yes, Evan Ingram has been better than Kyle Pitts. Evan Ingram's wide receiver or tight end like 18 or 19 on the season.
Understandable.
Kyle Pitts is tight end 22. Like they're right there. They're literally.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also not a lot of tight ends. I mean, like, but
that's my point.
I know, and I've already said I get it. But if you want to go, let's look at the whole season. Let's not just look at the last 3 weeks on this guy and take the whole season on that guy. Let's take the whole season on Kyle Pitts. And what Kyle Pitts is telling you he's going to be is 3.9 fantasy points and then an outlier. Granted, again, and then the other argument I had from Sunday, they were down big and threw the ball 13 times. Like they're not throwing the ball. So not only is he not going to be able to produce, he's not getting the opportunity to produce because they're not giving them the opportunity. They're not giving them the passes. They're not giving them the targets. He led the team in targets and receptions and still put up 3.9 points.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with outside of one game in the past 4 weeks seeing 3 targets. He's had 4 more targets in every game. I'm okay with understanding that the volume is not going to be there for Kyle Pitts right now. I'm okay with that. But I'm also understanding that if Kyle Pitts sees 5 targets, I'd rather have 5 targets of Kyle Pitts than 5 targets of Evan Ingram. They may not connect, and it may not play out that way. But I'm still, every day of the week, if you told me Pitts was getting 5 and Ingram's getting 5, who you taking? I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. I don't care. Like the thing that you guys like, I'm stubborn about this is I don't care about like what the week before happened. Like you can look at Kyle Pitts go 3.9, 3.9, 3.9. And every week you can look at that and say, well, this week I just wouldn't start him. And then the week after he goes for 30, because he has a 30-point game in him and Evan Ingram doesn't, the week that he goes for 30, the very next week, you know what you're going to do? You're going to rank Kyle Pitts in your top 5 and be like, yeah, you got to start Kyle Pitts. But then you missed out on that 30-point game. Yeah. That's the difference is I'm not willing to miss out on a 30-point game from a tight end when there's only about 3 or 4 tight ends in the entire league that can get you 30 points. He's one of them. Evan Ingram's not. So I am not willing to miss out on that to go make sure I get 10 points from Evan Ingram. I'll just stick with my 5 or 6 from Kyle Pitts and make up 4 points somewhere else. Like that's just my logic. I don't care that Evan Ingram can get me 10 points. I got it from Cade Otton, who's not on my team. I got it from every other random ass tight end that's out there. I want the guy that's going to give me the production that can actually win me a week. Because in most cases, the tight ends are not deciding whether you win or lose.
They are not. But he's also not the guy giving you the production, though. That's the issue.
You're not listening. I'm asking for who has the upside. Is Evan Ingram going to have a 30-point week? Can he do it?
Not on Jacksonville. But
wow. It doesn't matter who he's on. I don't think Evan Ingram's had a 30-point week in his career. Like my point is Kyle Pitts could go 8 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and we wouldn't think anything of it.
Should I trade away Mike Evans and Jerry Jeudy for Derrick Henry in a PPR league?
What are your? It depends what the wide receiver core looks like. But I'm on the side of yes.
You better be deep at receiver. You better be. I hope you're deep at receiver.
No, he must have just tuned in. I've been on this for a long time, buddy. Michael Thomas does not play football. He quit football in 2019.
Michael Thomas.
No,
I thought he was talking about the one on the Bengals. Oh,
is there a Michael Thomas on the Bengals? That's a thing.
Mike Thomas is what they call him. Mike Thomas.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh,
yeah, there was.
Right, a little clarity.
Oh yes, trade him.
Trade him in a heartbeat.
Send it
right now.
Send it right now. Send it. I'd send
it.
Mike Evans and Jerry Jeudy for Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
you're good enough with Olave, Pittman, Waddle, and Smith. Send it
for sure.
Get yourself some running back. Yeah, absolutely.
You better accept that deal before he takes it off the table.
He might be watching too, like, oh shit, what am I doing?
Shit. We appreciate the
especially with Michael Thomas out. And Chris Olave is just, like I said, he's going to get peppered with targets. Worst case scenario, he's wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season. You have Pittman a wide receiver 2, Olave a wide receiver 2, Waddle a borderline 1, and then Devontae Smith is a wide receiver 2. You're good in that sense. Take that deal real quick.
Yeah. Take it and run. Super C, take it and run. We appreciate the comment here. Be sure to subscribe and share the show. Let's get into our Week 8 waiver wire ads, the must ads. And Aaron, I'm going to give it all out in one foul swoop here, one shot. Graphics popping up here, and you broke not one but 2 rules here. But you say you can because it's your waiver wires. You got a quarterback on this list, and you have a guy who's rostered in more than 50% of leagues in D'Onta Foreman. But this is your waiver wire list: Sam Ellinger, DeAndre Carter, Greg Dulcich, D'Onta Foreman, Chuba Hubbard. That is your list.
What are those percentages?
Those are available in sleeper leagues.
Okay.
So Sam Ellinger is available in 100%. DeAndre Carter is available in 90%. Greg Dulcich,
he changes it every week.
No, I don't.
Yeah, last week you have what his roster percentage was.
We didn't even do it last week, you clown. We didn't even do it last week.
We didn't do waiver wires last week?
One of those we did 1 and 2 at the last moment. It was Latavius Murray. And
I'm pretty sure we did do it, but whatever. Yeah,
it's cool.
I think you calling somebody a clown. We did do it last week, but either way, in previous weeks,
3-hour show.
In previous weeks, you have put rostered, not actual.
No, I haven't. I've been doing it the same way because it's what I do at CBS. I do it the same way every time,
bro.
It's not even important.
This dude.
Tell us your reasons.
I don't even know
your waivers. It's all good family fun here. We enjoy ribbing.
I think Vinny is the funniest kid alive. Can you put my waivers back up there so I can see it?
It's wrong. You have to look. You have to find your own waivers now. It's wrong. You have to. I can't do it.
Hey,
sorry,
bro. He's like a female, bro. It's just like a female. Don't be a female.
We're all about equality here. Please subscribe.
Females are allowed on the show too, Vinny.
That's true.
Yeah, I did break my rule. I put a quarterback on there. I more so did that for conversation. I'll be honest. I'm not fond of Sam Ellinger, but I do like the rushing upside that he had. And Matt Ryan would stick in there somewhere around quarterback 15 to 20 on most of my weeks. So if you're playing in a 2-quarterback league, there's probably not a lot of options out there. Go get you a guy that has a little bit of mobility. Why not? I also put a tight end on this list, which I normally don't like doing, but I like what I saw from Greg Dulcich in the action that I've seen. And that really was without Russell Wilson for this past game. 9 targets on the day, went 6 for 51. Maybe he should be in my top 10. Maybe I could pick him over Kyle Pitts now since he had better weeks. I'm just saying, like, this is what we do now. We just react. So Greg Dulcich over Kyle Pitts, guys. If you got Kyle Pitts, trade him straight up for Greg Dulcich. Go find the person who picks up Greg Dulcich and makes that trade right away. But he definitely deserves to be on this waiver wire list because I did like what I saw from him. And then a couple of the other guys, the Carolina running backs are both on there because either one of them, whoever ends up being the guy, could be the guy. So if you have enough fab and you want to put money on both of them, do it if they're available. I'm not sure what Dante Foreman's roster percentage was before the trade for Christian McCaffrey. I don't think it was that high. So maybe the trade for Christian McCaffrey, people went out and picked him up, which could have altered the roster percentage because I don't think people had Deontay Foreman before that. Yo, I need some advice. What's up, Wavy? What you got for us? We're listening. Let us know in the comments. We'll give you all the advice you need. DeAndre Carter. Now, I know he's on a bye week, but he is a part of this offense with the Chargers. I like him in deeper leagues. I think he's an explosive player. He works around the line of scrimmage a lot, in the slot. Justin Herbert he throws the ball a lot, and now Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen's still battling those injuries. I know they have a bye this week, but be sure to try to go out and get DeAndre Carter. Also, who's not on this list, Josh Palmer, another guy. If he's available, go at him now. Mike Williams is going to be out. So, well, you're giving your answer right there. If you need a running back badly, I might try to get a little bit more for Tyreek. If somebody's not buying the whole Alvin Kamara as a top 5 guy thing, maybe you can get a back-end running back or something as well, or a back-end wide receiver for that matter. Somebody you can kind of fill in for Tyreek. But if you're deep at wide receiver, it's a no-brainer. If you're not, then I would try to squeeze a little bit more out of them. But ultimately, if you're shallow at the running back, you're going to have to take it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that straight up. Like if they're prying on your desperation, then it's different, like he's saying. But I don't know that you do that straight up yet. Kamara, he's getting that on some name value as well, and Kamara's going to start trending up. But if you're doing it now, like I would be trying to get a little extra as well.
Yeah, I think it matters what running backs you have.
Yeah.
Be sure to like and subscribe to the show. We appreciate the comment. We're here for everybody. Got to go with all reliable in this question. Thoughts on adding Jermichael Hasty? Okay, got it. Got it. All right.
Yes, well, honestly, you should go.
Sanders and Clyde. His wide receivers are Godwin, Keenan Allen, and Tyreek Hill. I don't know if I make that trade.
I don't know if I make that trade.
I don't think I make that trade.
You got to get more out of that. You got to get more out of that.
Tyreek Hill is your best wide receiver.
I'm gonna be honest. I think you ask for more. If you can get an additional piece, you really want to get a wide receiver in that deal. You want to get Alvin Kamara and blank, whatever flex wide receiver, or you get Tyreek Hill, or Alvin Kamara, whatever back receiver, whatever flex wide receiver 3-ish that you could get back. I'm assuming you're playing in a shallower league, because if you only have Sanders and CEH, it probably means you have a shallow league, which means there is some talent on the waiver wire at the wide receiver position. So that matters as well. I'm gonna be honest. I probably do the deal. Regardless of if he doesn't give you more, I'd probably do the deal. Godwin and Keenan healthy is going to be a wide receiver, a back-end wide receiver 1 to a high-end RB, a wide receiver 2. Godwin's a wide receiver 2. And there's going to be some sort of wide receiver depth on your waiver wire if you're playing in a shallower league. And it looks like, based upon you giving just those 5 names, that it is a shallower league. It means you probably don't have many roster spots, and there's probably guys on the waiver wire that are valuable right now at the wide receiver position.
Yep.
That would be my assessment.
There you go.
Yep, we appreciate the comment, Wavy. Be sure to subscribe for more fantasy advice. We got you covered to win your leagues this year. Let's recap your waivers one more time. Sam Ehlinger, DeAndre Carter, Greg Dulcich, Deonta Foreman, and Chuba Hubbard round out your top 5 waiver wire ads this week.
I love you, Vinny.
Love you too, buddy. That does it, though, for another episode of the Sack City Podcast. We'll be back again live on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with football coverage, talking about our Week 8 power rankings. See where your team ranks this week on Aaron's list. A lot of movement has been happening in the past few weeks, and I expect a lot more on Wednesday when we dive into your Week 8 power rankings. And it's also our Thursday night preview. We've got the Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. We'll be previewing that game as well. But until then, be sure. AJ, actually, I'll give you the golden pipes on this one.
Oh, true that. We can do that. Hey, ladies, gentlemen, thank you. Late night chilling with the fantasy boys at Sac City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I see some of y'all have subscribed. Appreciate you, Wavy. Appreciate you, Super CMB challengers. Go ahead and tell your friends, because if you don't spread the love, that's what we about in the city. We spread the love. So hit it. Hit the subscribe. Hit the notifications at Sac City Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the TikTok. Your boys are here back in town Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Don't forget Sunday. Don't forget Sunday.
The last time I said
Sundays
Sunday,
are big fantasy
he was all like, "Hey, you're taking my
This is our
job.
fantasy show. We got to
about Sunday." So,
Well, I mean, if you're gonna say
that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said, because you said we'll be here tomorrow, like we were promoting the next show.
No.
That's Vinny's job.
No. It was like a week ago when I was like, make sure to get with us on Sunday for pigskins and pancakes at 11 a.m. Like,
point being is,
yes, that was the Friday show.
If you're going to do it, you also should do it correctly, which you didn't. Leave it to me. We're here every Monday, every Sunday through Friday, live on YouTube at the Sac City Pod. We're live at 12 noon on Sundays now, giving you our fantasy coverage, getting you set to win your weeks. There is no place you should be other than the city. Be a part of Sac City. Until Wednesday, for my best friend Aaron Mukes. For your boy, AJ Johnson. I am me. We'll see you then.
Peace out.
Holla.